Molly Hayes had been on her feet since 5:30 a.m. The little cafe where she worked opened at 6 o'clock, and she had just enough time to dress Eli, feed him, and strap him into the baby carrier mounted to the front of her delivery scooter. The scooter was old and temperamental, it rattled more than it ran, but it allowed Molly to deliver the early morning orders and still make it back to her shift behind the counter. Eli, a little over a year old, sat quietly, his big blue eyes blinking beneath a knitted cap while the wind tugged at Molly's blonde ponytail. She had just finished her last delivery and was heading back to the cafe when she saw it happen. A man collapsed on the sidewalk ahead, right at the corner of Fort and Elm. He clutched his chest, staggered, and crashed to the ground with a thud. Molly's heart lurched. People gathered quickly, but no one stepped forward. Some pulled out their phones to record. Others just stood frozen, mouths slightly open. Car horns blared. Someone shouted to call an ambulance. Molly pulled her scooter to the curb, her fingers trembling as she unbuckled her helmet. She checked Eli, still strapped in, safe, clutching his soft dinosaur toy, blissfully unaware. Then she ran. The man on the ground was about 45, well dressed in a dark gray suit with silver at his temples. His eyes were clenched shut in pain, his lips pale, almost bluish. He was gasping for breath. "Sir, can you hear me?" Molly asked, dropping to her knees. No response. Her brief time in nursing school flashed back, the lessons she hadn't finished. She checked his pulse. Weak. His breathing shallow and uneven. "Somebody call 911. She shouted, already starting chest compressions. 1, 2, 3. The crowd just stared. The only sound was her counting, the dull thud of her palms pressing against his chest, the faint creak of his belt buckle with each compression. He was dying. Molly's breath hitched, tears stinging her eyes, but she kept going. Eli was only a few feet away, safe in his carrier, but this man was someone's father, someone's son, maybe someone's whole world. She tilted his head back, gave 2 breaths, and returned to compressions again and again. Nearly 2 minutes passed. It felt like an eternity. Then, suddenly, the man jerked in a ragged gasp. His chest rose. Weak, but alive. Relief flooded Molly's eyes with tears. In the distance, sirens wailed. Help was coming. The paramedics arrived quickly and took over. One of them gave Molly a nod. "You did everything right. If it hadn't been for you." She nodded silently, hands shaking, gave her name, a brief explanation, and returned to Eli. He babbled happily, reaching out a chubby hand to her cheek. She kissed his forehead. "Hi, baby," she whispered, voice trembling. "Mama's okay." She looked back one last time as they lifted the man into the ambulance. The crowd dispersed. Some still filmed. A woman near her asked, "Do you know who that is?" Molly shook her head. She didn't care. All she knew was that for those 2 minutes, she had risked everything, leaving her child strapped to the scooter, to fight for a stranger's life. It hadn't been instinct. It had been something deeper, something human. When she put her helmet back on and started the scooter, hot tears streamed down her cheeks. Eli stared at her with wide blue eyes, not understanding. "I thought he was going to die," she whispered. But he hadn't. He lived. And she would never forget the color of his skin, the weight of his chest under her palms, or the terrifying thought of what would happen if she collapsed one day and Eli was left alone. But most of all, she would remember that awful silence when life hangs by a thread, and the miracle moment when that thread holds.